And then in September, it becomes the opportunity for the locals to go out and enjoy the beaches and the weather. So September, October, November are fantastic times of year. November gets a little bit cooler when you go north to Porto and those areas, but going south from Silver Coast down, these 3 months are fantastic. Rest of the time of year, you will get winter. Even the Algarve gets cold in the dead of winter. So if you're in December and January, it will feel cold. But in general, it's a very mild climate unless you go really inland where the extreme temperatures can really go from very highs. Right now, the inland part of Portugal is struggling pretty heavily with forest fires and high temperatures. But as you can see, it's August, it's here, and right now it's about 82 degrees and it's about 6:15 at night. So it's really beautiful most of the time of year. All right. So we have someone here also saying that they're curious about expat groups in Portugal who have mixers, potlucks, and with the locals to build community. That is something that Portugal is really rich in. The international community, the expat immigrant groups have worked really hard to create groups in different regions. And when you go through Facebook, you can find the different locations that will have these groups. So it might be the Silver Coast, it may be Stubble, Algarve, and they're oftentimes posting up meetups, coffee events, brunches, all kinds of different opportunities. Thanksgiving has a whole bunch of different activities to do potluck, and you're going to find those readily available as long as you're in some of the more popular areas. If you head out into more of the rural areas or you're farther east, they become less and less popular. So that's definitely something to consider. And then from the Portugal the Place community, we actually host community events and we have a community system to connect people. So that's something that we work really hard to do as well. So absolutely have opportunities. And you find those groups, you're going to find the general Facebook groups are going to have each region. If you go into Facebook and you search like Facebook Laria Facebook group or expats Portugal, if you go into Porto expats, that kind of thing, if you use those keywords, you're going to get lists of groups on Facebook primarily, where you're going to find that information. And then we also have a list of those for regions. When you're working with Portugal the Place, we help connect you with those groups as well. All right, and I'm so sorry. It's bright out, so I got to lean forward to read the questions. Can you say more about early November weather? So it really November depends on exactly what part of Portugal you're in. If you're in the north, if you're north of Aveiro, especially if you're in Porto, Braga, Viana do Castelo, up in the north, November is definitely going to take on the winter feel. You're going to get more rain, you're going to have cloudier days, and the temperatures are going to drop down into the 50s Fahrenheit. If you are south, Silver Coast and going south on the coastline, and so that's including Lisbon, Stubble, and then even rolling around towards the Alentejo coast, you're going to be more mild. You're still going to have sunny days. You may pick up here and there the rain, but it's much more moderate, and the temperatures can be in the low 60s still and very, very sunny. We sit out at the cafe with maybe a light sweater. The Algarve again will be slightly warmer still in November and dry for sure. So that's an area that gets the most sunshine year round. And so you could count on golfing and being out walking on the beach. Maybe too cold to lay out, but definitely out enjoying a walk on the beach or golfing. So November is one of those things that's a little bit more dependent on what part of Portugal you're in. All right. And so what we're doing right now is, again, if you've got questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. We're happy to jump in and answer any questions that you may have. And then we are also just talking about some other content as well that we're really excited to share. And one of the things that we also want to talk about is we want to move past music and we want to talk about food. The food culture in Portugal is really interesting, but I won't say that it's easy, okay? Because sometimes when you come to Portugal the first time, like my husband Clyde was not wowed by the food when we first came here before we moved. We didn't understand what we were ordering. We expected it to be more like Italian food, which definitely is not. But once we've got here and we've opened up to trying the really local restaurants and avoiding the tourist restaurants, there is a just an amazing array of options. So I want to share a couple of my favorite food destinations. One is the Douro. If you haven't planned on or haven't been to the Douro yet, it definitely needs to be on one of your lists. The Douro Valley is incredible. And what you're going to find there is not only amazing wines, of course, but you're also going to find absolutely incredible restaurants. And one of my favorites is featured here. It's right in Paseo de Regua, and it's a Michelin restaurant, and it just has an incredible vibe. And one of the things that it's really, really famous for is having your local wine pairings with Portuguese classics like bacalhau, which is the salted cod. They also do wine pairings with your wild boar and the black pork, which is also famous to Portugal. So when you go in the Douro and you're looking for foods, you have an array of options. You're going to have little corner, hole in the wall places, or you can go to something like this restaurant here, the Castas de Pratos, which is just an experience. So this is one of my favorites that I wanted to share. Another one, now, okay, I fangirled here. This is an embarrassing picture. It's from COVID time, so you can tell we're wearing masks, is Bel Canto. Portugal has such an amazing food history that Bel Canto is actually listed in the top 40 restaurants you need to eat at before you die. And I can tell you from celebrating our anniversary there that this experience is one I will never forget. I equated it to meeting a chef that was equivalent to meeting like Elton John. It was amazing. The food experience, every course has a story. It's absolutely a place that I would highly recommend to plan on it as an event that could be considered a once in a lifetime type of an event. And then this is a little one I love to tuck in here because Osala in Ovar is a hidden place. Most people don't even know about this area. Ovar is on the coast just south of Porto. It's an amazing historic city. And this restaurant is one of the most patronized local restaurants in all of Portugal. The Portuguese love this restaurant. It stands out for the wine cellar. It's a whole experience. So for me, these are just some varieties of the food experiences you can have in Portugal. But I will tell you, don't shy away from some things that sound a little different. One, the chicken gizzards in Portugal, the moelas, amazing. I never would have eaten them in the States, but I love them here and they're so good. Another thing that stands out here that you can get that are just they're just so incredibly good is the mixed grills. You can get mixed grills that have a Brazilian take with black beans and pineapple, or you can do like an interior mixed grill that has all kinds of sausages and everything. Fantastic. Now, for your vegetarians out there, or if you're vegan or vegetarians, you don't have to worry about being excluded. Portugal is getting more and more available options to people with dietary restrictions. It's not as robust as the United States for sure, but you can definitely get vegan restaurants, vegetarian options on almost every menu. It's definitely something that will be available for you. And if you're concerned about food allergies, they're also really starting to make options like gluten-free available more and more. Every year we see more options. All right, so one of my other favorite things, and I really encourage everyone out there to check her out, is what we really love is Isabel Stillwell. This author, I met this author through reading. I haven't met her in person. When I first came on vacation here in 2019. And she opened my eyes to the history of Portugal in a way that was so easy to read and understand. And she does a beautiful job of celebrating the women of Portugal. So for all of my women out there, you know how history, a lot of times you can find a lot on the kings of Portugal. You can find a lot sometimes on Henry the Navigator, Vasco da Gama, all of that. But what she does so brilliantly is brings forward these people that made such a huge impact on Portugal and the world. So I really suggest, if you're considering moving to Portugal and you want to connect with where you are, the culture, why that castle's there, why the city is what it is, dive into Isabel Stillwell's works. Her Philippa of Lancaster is the first book that I would suggest, and it will really set you up for success and help you truly understand this really interesting country and how much women were involved in making this a country that has an impact around the world. All right. Now, one of the favorite things I love to do, I'm here right now. Tomorrow's a holiday, so this is my Friday night. So you can hear maybe the horns behind me. At the moment, all the fishing boats are coming in to the harbor and they're honking to let their dock hands know that they're bringing in their catches. But there are some fantastic famous beaches: Nazaré, the Algarve, Sesimbra, Cascais, amazing beaches. But there are so many hidden beaches, areas with small little towns that you can just take a book and a beach chair and just disappear into a day where time just slows down. And Portugal is fantastic at that. So I wanted to feature today, I wanted to feature São Pedro de Moel. Sao Pedro de Moel is a beach that will make you feel like if you've ever been to Positano or along the Italian Amalfi coast. It has that vibe, but very chill. You can go up there at any time of the year and have a place along the beach with bar service close by, with all the amenities, swim in the ocean, and just relax and enjoy your day. And it's literally 20 minutes from where I'm sitting right now, just north of Nazaré on the coast here in the Silver Coast. There are so many examples of this that I really encourage when you're thinking about living in Portugal, that you plan on exploring and going outside of the busy praias and the city centers and finding the wild beaches, the hidden corners, all the places where you can explore, take the dogs, because in the off season, when it's not summer, you can let the dogs run on the beach, go out and just relax and take in the longest coastline. It's just unbelievable how many beach options there are here in Portugal. So we'll have the last kind of one of the things I also wanted to share as we jump into questions is the summer festas season. We are in festas season. It is all over the country right now, and it is absolutely amazing. Obidos, the medieval village of Obidos, does a medieval festival that is just incredible. They have performers, they have people with laundry strung across the street, and women fake yelling at each other, across the stoops, and knights walking through the seats, and food and music. It is truly an experience that you need to try at least once. Also up in Viana do Castelo, one of the most amazing festivals that I attended was the Festival of Our Lady of Agony. That's not a very cheerful name. Yes, that's true. But it was a celebration of the patron saint. And really, it's about blessing the fishermen and helping them have a safe time out in the ocean. And they have these huge paper mache head costumes where they go through the streets and they have drums and parades and music and lights and dancing until 5 o'clock in the morning. Those are just two examples of summertime festas. They happen all over. The littlest village will be celebrating a sandwich, and the Algarve and Lisbon and Porto and everything in between is doing festivals. You will, if you open up your mind and you're okay with just jumping in and experiencing it, it'll make memories that you'll never forget. All right, so we've got some questions queued up. These were just some of the things that I really wanted to put out there to chat about. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this is all of our conversations lately on these webinars have been so serious and scary and nervous. Immigration questions and how are we going to be accepted? And they are all 100% valid. But once you get here and once you've managed to navigate this complicated, kind of cumbersome process to get here, Portugal will unfold as much as you let it. But what we want to encourage is to have you start thinking about the things you're going to engage in. How are you going to become part of this community and this amazing culture and the people and connecting? So connecting with these folks and getting all of this kind of in your mind was something we really wanted to talk about. So Jasmine is asking about finding good spices for cooking at home. So short of a couple of particular American spices, I don't have any difficulty finding spices. It's more the spice blends that we have that are different. For example, it's very difficult to find ranch dressing spices, or like Montreal seasoning, those kind of like particular spice blends, but more traditional individual spices and things like Italian seasoning or herbs de Provence, any of those things are all readily available. So you can go to your major grocery stores and pick up your spices, and there's also markets all over Portugal that sell them in bulk. And how about places on the Silver Coast for classical music and jazz? Great question. The Silver Coast actually has one of the largest jazz festivals in Europe, and it happens in May in a place about 5 miles away from where I'm sitting in Valadas dos Fredes. And they run, it's about a week and a half, about 10 days of jazz concerts, everything from big band to interpretive acid jazz. They have a collection of jazz festivals. Alcobaça runs what they call the Sister Music Festival, not sister like an S, but sister, Cister. And that festival features classical music at the Alcobaça Monastery. They bring up like the Lisbon Philharmonic that performs. They have small quartets and trios. They have all types of classical music outside at the monastery, inside, and then at Bataya's Monastery and some of the other venues around. Those are just a couple. There are a Dixieland Jazz Festival in Nazaré. There is another music festival down by Obidos that features the blues. So there is absolutely so many music opportunities on the Silver Coast and across Portugal. All right. And so we have to expand on your mention about dogs off leash on the beach. Does that apply to all beaches after summer is over? My mini Bernie Doodle is a beach lover. Totally understand. We have two Newfie Doodles, so beach is a thing. It applies in general to most beaches, except for a couple of exceptions. The very busy Cascais Beach, which is in the middle of the city, they have dog restrictions all year round. There are a couple of Algarve beaches that have restrictions all year round. But in general, the rest of the country's beaches, after it starts in June and it ends October 1st. So from October all the way around to June 1st, your dogs can be off leash on all of the beaches. But from June to October, you can still have your dogs off leash on what they call wild beaches that are not in the general vicinity of beachgoers where they don't have lifeguards and things like that. But and you can still take your dog for a walk on the beach in these areas before, I believe, 8:30 in the morning. You can be out early if you want to come out before the beachgoers, but they do restrict beach time for the dogs during peak season. And do you have an opinion or insight about TAP Airlines that flies to Portugal? I have opinions. Yes. Okay, so yes, TAP is great when they're great. So when they're on time and when you fly them, I've had really good experiences. I've flown on them multiple times. I've flown on them from the United States and from Portugal to England, Portugal to Italy, places like that. But TAP has two issues. They have, if something goes wrong, their customer service is brutal. I still am waiting 3 years for a refund for a completely refundable ticket that I bought with them, and I just gave up because I've never gotten it. And they oftentimes have the effects of just kind of when one thing goes wrong, it feels like a domino effect, and they can get backed up and off schedule pretty easily. Their on-time schedule is not one of the best. So it's an up and down. Their flight schedules are great. They have very kind staff in general. I've never lost luggage with them like other airlines, but they are not dependable all the time for on-time scheduling for sure. And their customer service for questions, it's tough. All right. How about Mexican food goods? I love this. Americans, this is my favorite question because we love Tex-Mex, we love Mexican food, and it is truly one of those things. In the last 5 years of being here, I've seen more and more options for Mexican food because people are getting it. They're starting to go, oh, this is an opportunity for us to have something new. So you can get in the urban areas in Lisbon and Porto and the Algarve all the Mexican food items that you're looking for. It's readily available. There's Mexican restaurants, just a bunch of them. More Mexican than Tex-Mex, though, and that's a really important um, kind of point because we as Americans often associate our style of Mexican food more with like a Tex-Mex. And a lot of the Mexican options here are like Oaxaca or the Yucatan or very, very traditional Mexican food, which can throw people off because they don't have all the same nachos and things like that. But they're selling more and more of them. Even here on the Silver Coast, in the last 2 years, we've seen like 5 Mexican restaurants, really good ones, open up. And those restaurants have little stores where they're selling tomatillos and jalapenos and things like that. So starting to get more and more. Can you speak to the availability of hobby groups, clubs like birding and gardening, hiking, and such? Yes. So, hey, Gretchen. Hi. So yes, we have a lot of people getting together as groups and enjoying activities. At Portugal, the place, we actually have subgroups within our communities of everyone from quilters to hikers to kayakers, yoga. We have a antisocial reading group, which is for people that want to read together and not talk. We have restaurant groups, all of that. All around Portugal, you can find hiking groups, mountain biking groups, and there's a lot of pickleball, paddleboard, handball, all the kind of court sport groups cropping up everywhere. So it really, we find them through the Facebook groups mostly. That seems to be in general where we're able to connect. And then you'll go in the Facebook group, say, hey, I want to play pickleball. And then someone will drop a link into the group for that area. So there's a lot going on and there's a lot of options for things, quilting, sewing, knitting, crafts, painting, all of that. There's so many different opportunities to get involved. So, opportunities for amateur musicians such as community bands. Absolutely. So, one of the best examples that I can share is there's a bar called the Prohibition Bar in Obidos, and they have another bar in Lisbon. And this is where community bands can show up. They can pick up, if you're a drummer, if you're a bass player, whatever, you can ask if you want to jam with the group that's there. A lot of community bands are performing, and there's a really interesting kind of like, there's certain bars in almost every town that draw the international community, the expats, and oftentimes they will, on purpose, seek out the community bands to come and play covers and to perform. So we've really enjoyed watching our community grow, and the musicians, the retiring musicians that come with this amazing ability that just do drum circles and perform and pick up and create other bands. So if that's something you're interested in, then that's something that you'll be really pleasantly surprised. There's a lot of options here. I'm Mexican and I need my food. What we need is the people that make the Mexican food to come here and keep making it for the rest of us because we miss it too. But they're getting better and better here for sure. But we completely agree. Do you have information about how to immigrate to Portugal ethically? Well, I think that's a lot of what we all need to talk about and think about and how we can mitigate our impact. It's tough because we do come with a higher income than the Portuguese. We oftentimes hear Portugal being touted as cheaper and, all of these things that make the Portuguese feel really uncomfortable because for them, it's a struggle. They're still dealing with a lot of issues with too low of minimum wage, not enough housing. But there are ways that we can be really good stewards. One is not bringing American isms with us. Embracing the fact that you as an immigrant have picked up and moved to another culture and being readily open to being uncomfortable. The hardest thing I see for people that are trying to relocate to Portugal are people that want their experiences to be an American version, customer service, time to get a response, bureaucracy, what you can buy in the store, all these kind of things. We bring this built-in expectation. We can't help it. That's how we're hardwired. And then when we kind of take it out on the Portuguese, there's a feeling of entitlement or privilege that we carry with us. And we have to check that. We have to be really careful. I do it by accident. People do it. We're not expecting to be perfect, but trying to be intentional about how we represent and how we show up in their culture is incredibly important. So that's one way to be ethically aware. Another way is to make sure you're investing in Portuguese economy when you come here. It's very easy to order on Amazon Spain, for example. But if you take an extra minute and you go out and you patronize the local stores, if you go out to the small individual stores and maybe find something that isn't the brand you're used to or try to support a local business, that's going to go a long way. So we changing our habits and expectations and diving in and supporting the stores, the amenities, the service providers right around you will also be a big part of helping the economy grow and thrive, and being able to do a small part to impact what we do when we come here. So, can you talk about groups to join for learning Portuguese? Sim. So it is, there's a lot of them, and everyone's learning styles are different. So, one of the things that we encourage is not to give up if the first one you sign into or log into and join doesn't feel right, because we all learn differently. We all have different learning styles. So it may take you a time or two to get in the swing of things. And the first thing I tell everyone, unless you are a natural born linguist and you just learn languages with no effort, don't try to do this in the first 3 months of arriving in Portugal. You are going to have had so many shocking changes to your system, your environment, the language swirling around you, the bureaucracy. Just ordering a pizza is a big adventure. Once you get through all the first steps, then once you've kind of settled that down a little, then your mind will be open and more capable of learning and connecting. So from there, we have online recommendations for Zoom type of classes. You can get individual tutors, and then there are free courses offered by the state to get you ready for your A1, A2 level that take quite a commitment, because they're long classes that are 100% attendance required, but that will get you in a pretty immersion experience. So depending on your learning style, there's options for everyone. All right, so we have some additional questions here. So we are looking at, I'm kind of gathering some here. So, oh, hey guys, you're coming at the end of September, and the weather at that time will be wonderful. It should be still warm and sunny during the day, sweater weather in the evening. But traditionally, I mean, weather's been a little harder to predict lately, but traditionally September is an absolutely stunning month in Portugal. All right, so we're going to do one more question unless we get some additional folks that have anything that come up top of mind. But one thing that we really want to talk about with in mind of coming and moving and looking at the visa process, Portugal is definitely going through transitions on trying to figure out how to accommodate all this additional interest in the country. IMA is the organization that handles immigration, and they were already feeling the crunch before there was an additional interest in Portugal. So back to an earlier question, patience is going to be something that you're really going to have to dig in and have, because it's going to go wrong. And I say this because I say this a lot with our clients. We have these conversations. Appointments get canceled. A document doesn't come in time. Something doesn't work out. When you're making such a significant move, to be prepared for that thing that's going to happen. And that's one of the reasons we wanted to talk today about some of the other sides of Portugal, to remind everyone that what your goal coming to Portugal can be is to realize that you have to make a transition, but then what do you want your life to be a year from now? A year from when you arrive? Do you want to get into music, like the question of, do they have amateur pickup bands? Absolutely. Do you want to explore festivals all over Portugal? You could literally do it every weekend for an entire year and see something different. Are you interested in getting connected with the community and volunteering? There are dog shelters that need volunteers that walk dogs. You can get involved with beach cleanups. You can get involved with food drives. They have all kinds of opportunities for volunteering. There are so many things you can do once you get settled in, and you will find your way through that after the initial stress of moving, because you need to give yourself time to prepare and to kind of rebuild your stamina before you dive into everything, because the move itself, it takes a lot out of you. It's a big change. All right. I know we're just like jamming through this. Again, I am here in Nazare. This weather today is just an example of what all of August has been like, what we're moving into September. It's absolutely stunning. Tomorrow is a national holiday. So, for anyone that's looking to get information from anyone in Portugal tomorrow, everybody will be closed. So, if you don't hear anything, don't panic. It's a big celebration tomorrow here in Portugal, all over the country. So, banks, all of your government offices, everything will be closed. And so, if you have any final questions or anything that you want to pop in before we go, I'm happy to answer them. But thank you so much for being here and being part of this. I know a lot of you are on your journeys. Tabitha, yours, no, supermarkets are only closed two holidays of the year, New Year's Day and Christmas Day. They have shorter hours, but all the major supermarkets are still open tomorrow. Oh man, Gary, I can't believe you asked me because I am trying desperately to remember the phrase in Portuguese. It's a religious holiday and I'm completely blanking. I think the sun is cooking it out of my head. So I don't remember. It's Ascension, yes. So, yeah, thank you, Fiona, who's right off to the side. Yes, so it's a big European holiday all across all the Catholic countries in Europe. All right, so is there anything you would do differently if you were making the move again now? Two things. One, I would stop trying to be type A and getting a ton of things done in one day. It is impossible. I kept for the first years here thinking I could do my normal errand day and get like six things done in a day. Absolutely not possible. It's just not. So I have to come into this, I would come into this with different expectations of what I can accomplish without the language and navigating a foreign culture. And the other thing I would do is not listen to social media, Facebook groups, and get all freaked out by like comment threads. I almost didn't bring our dogs because I got into a comment thread that said Portuguese hate dogs. They love dogs. There's vets everywhere. There's dogs. There's dog stores, dog food, groomers, everything. But there was a thread of people saying that Portuguese hated dogs, and I literally almost decided that we couldn't come to Portugal with our dog, and it's been the best experience ever. They're amazing with Dutch and with our dog Aladdin. So Facebook threads are dangerous because people usually post either their best experience or their worst experience. And sometimes it can get really confusing to understand what's just a normal day living abroad as an immigrant. Margaret's asking if your IMA appointment gets pushed out past your deadline once you're there, is that worrisome or instead noted by the PT folks where you are not penalized? They don't penalize you at all. Not at all. It's so anti-penalize. Basically, if it got pushed, you just reschedule, and the only real thing that happens to you without having your card is the travel outside the country can be a pain. But there's no penalty in the country. No one is tracking you down. You're not considered illegal. That's not in the vernacular here. So it's just bureaucracy. They're used to people getting delayed. So that's not a concern. All right. Oh, you got a hi, Fiona. So there, there we are. So, and thanks, Gary, for your patience. It is, even though there's a nice breeze, it's nice and warm in the sun right now. So it's definitely a beautiful evening to have a glass of wine and to enjoy this view. And for those of you that are out there that know the view I'm sitting at, you will be at this view sooner than later. So it's pretty awesome to be able to share this and sit here and hopefully give you a peek at what it can be like here just to be part of Portugal and take it all in and literally soak in the sun. So thank you so much for joining us. Oh, Joan, let me grab this. If IMA appointments are 6 months or so from the visa approval, how are people handling receiving their one-time shipment of household goods when they don't yet have a residence card? It's not the residence card you need to ship. It's the registration of your address, which you can do once you have the temporary visa issued to you, allowing you to move to Portugal. So once you receive that and you move physically to Portugal, you register your address, and then you can trigger the shipment of your goods. It doesn't rely on the residency card. In-country IMA appointment. It's about moving physically to Portugal after you have your VFS or your consulate appointment in the US. What is behind you? Is that a parking lot for the beach? Kind of. It's the marina. So this right here is the marina entrance. And so there's a parking lot, a marina, the boat landing, and then on this side, this is the famous fort of Nazaré where all the big waves go over. So I've got a marina over here and the fort over there. Thank you so much. Thank you. We are so excited to have you here as well. If anyone has any questions, you want to schedule a call, need to go over anything, please, please, please feel free to reach out to Portugal the Place, schedule a call, and happy weekend from Portugal. Bon fin de semana, and we will see you again in September. Thanks again for everyone for joining. See you later. Bye.